Idiot. El Presidente.
Ready?
Ready.
Okay, it is now 10 o'clock, and I am going to call the Policy and Governance meeting to order. We'll start with roll call. All three districts are present. The notice of meeting was properly posted on March 10th, 2025. We'll start with number one, which is the approval of minutes.
Motion approved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Minutes are approved. Number two is the discussion and possible action regarding the selection of February and March 2025 BOCC employees of the month. Karen Kent. Good morning. Okay, February. Oh. Okay. I need to be.
Thank you, Ben.
Do we select two for each month? So since we only have two, we can just proceed with these options for.
That is correct. We had options A and B for February and March.
Okay. These are wonderful nominations, and so we have two for March and February. So I get a motion in order to proceed with these nominations.
Motion proceed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Oh. Oh, do that. Okay. Okay, number three is discussion possible action regarding ARPA project 10090, which is the Juvenile Bureau Violence Intervention Program. Hello, Hannah. Can I get a motion to receive document?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So this is a, as you guys know, we have ARPA project. I think it's 1090. That is our crime violence intervention project. We had to suspend that project in August, and we've been looking diligently, trying to find a replacement since then, trying to find a different option, a different source. We met with several different agencies, and no one could really give us a wraparound service like we're needing. We've learned a lot in our first endeavor with the first organization, and there are a lot of pieces that we, have been trying to navigate through on how to do this successfully moving forward. What we found in meeting with Jordan Jensen and his people this is a intervention software, a crime violence intervention software that we would facilitate ourselves. The initial cost is $3,500. This is an older quote, but it is still good. That we would purchase the software and utilize it. We met with Danielle, I believe 2 weeks ago. My staff met with her, went through all the pieces, all the avenues. She assured us that that is something that is covered under our ARPA grant. But I wanted to come and talk to you guys first before we get too far into it to see if you guys were okay with us moving in this direction. We really think this will be a better fit for our needs because we can really cultivate it to be exactly what we need. And we don't have the issues of an outside agency like we have previously, especially since right now, mental health resources are so few right now. And so if we can do this in-house or we can actually cultivate it and make it exactly what we need, we'd really like to go in this direction instead. We have about 114,000 left and change in that account right now. We'd like to get into this. Obviously, we're going to need to purchase iPads, maybe some computers. We talked with Danielle about if there was a salary need, if we would need to assign a detention officer to this program, depending on how labor intensive it is. She assured us that would all be covered under our current application. So it's just the pleasure of the board if you guys are okay with us moving in this direction versus going to a sole outside agency. We have gone through with her this quote. The fact that we talked with the other agencies, she said that we could just utilize this quote instead of having to put it out to bid, that wouldn't be something that we needed to do. When we put it out to bid before, we only received the one response. So we've met with a lot of agencies that are very willing and want to help, but it's difficult to get someone to commit to a full program that they could come in for the amount of hours a week that we need. So we'd like to really kind of individualize it and make it our own. So this is the direction that we'd like to go.
Can you remind me what was the total amount allocated towards this project?
I don't know off the top of my head,
Okay.
but I can get that for you. I know we have 114 left and change. I believe, is it 180? Yes, I think we spent about 65,000. So I believe around 180 is what we originally received for it.
And so the grand total is $3,500 for
the software.
software.
Obviously,
Okay.
we'll need to purchase tablets, iPads, computers. We wanted to get into it and go through the training with them to see what all we would need before we kind of firmed up those quotes. But obviously, we'll work with MIS and make sure it's something that we can use on the domain that are safety sensitive, that we, some of those like secure books that we can use with the kids where we're not worried about them being able to hack it or go to somewhere they're not supposed to while we're facilitating the program.
So you haven't figured out the total cost with computers and everything else.
We have not.
I mean, far less.
Correct. We wanted to get in and look at the software and see. We've met with them. We're really impressed by the program so far, but we don't know what we don't know yet as far as what we'll need technology wise.
And then you'll put together a budget
Yes.
specifically to the project to
Correct.
Outline all of the costs moving
Yes,
forward.
absolutely.
Okay. Well, good. I'm glad you're able to identify the right software and program. And so are you just asking approval to move forward?
Yes,
with
I just wanted to
this?
make sure you guys were good with us. It's the exact same program, just shifting where we're doing it in-house versus just solely contracting with an outside provider.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I am too.
I think it's a great idea. And I appreciate your leadership on it
Thank you so much.
and your team.
So is this a recommendation that will come to DOCC?
No.
Then I'm move for approval.
Second.
Okay. And the approval will be for
Move
them to
approval
take
for
the,
the site license for
Yes.
$3,500 and creating a budget for the total cost.
and moving it in-house.
Perfect.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you.
Number 4 is the discussion and possible action regarding policies, procedures, and status reports related to planning oversight and administration of Oklahoma County's grants programs. Sorry. I put together the watch list that is attached. I deleted all of the grants that we had listed from the previous report that I have been attaching these past several months, just to focus on the grants that we have at hand. Which are the ODMH, Oklahoma County Department of Mental Health grant for the 781, which D1 has been doing an excellent job, Ryan and Joe, in regards to working with Bridget in order to make sure that that MOU passed across BOCC last month, or last meeting, I believe. So thank you for doing that. And I know that we're working towards the invoicing. Do you have anything else to update in regards to 781?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay. Well, I do appreciate all your hard work on that. And I saw Bridget in the elevator, and she said everything's good to go. So, so it's very positive. So thank you for your hard work and partnership on that grant. In regards to the other grant that we have, which is our Attorney General opioid abatement grant. That amount is $299,813.63. Ashley has done an awesome job putting out the RFP, which was published on March 3rd, and then will be opened at the BOCC meeting in regards to bids on the 26th. Then we'll discuss it in our April meeting. Do I see Ashley? Is Ashley here? I don't see her, but I see Chantel. But I just wanted to give a shout out to Ashley in regards to working through the bid process, as well as answering any questions and sending those out formally for the public and publishing it, so that way we can move forward with selecting a recipient for these funds. Any other questions about the opioid abatement grant? Okay, and then the only other one that I have on this list, and I know that District 1 and District 3 have taken advantage of this opportunity in regards to our Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality Volkswagen Settlement Trust, and that was also approved at the last BOCC meeting. And Commissioner Davidson had mentioned that there is still a lot of opportunity with that grant, and so is there any other updates on anything we need to know about?
No.
Okay. Well, those are the three that I had.
Opportunities to purchase the vehicle.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that was what I had highlighted. Is there anything else in regards to grants that we need to be aware of or working on?
Not this time.
And then the grant in regards to our EV opportunities for chargers, that was with ACOG, and you had contacted them.
Yes, that has been declined for now.
Okay, and so we've
They
declined
will-
those.
They will notify us of other opportunities in the future.
Perfect. Okay. Okay. Anything else?
I think so.
Okay, we'll move on to number 5, which is a discussion and possible action regarding policies, processes, procedures, status report, and recruitment related to the BOCC Financial Support Specialist. Hi, Karen.
Good morning again. First of all, I would like to thank Charlotte and Megan for stepping up and helping us with this emptiness hole we've had. They've done a great job making sure nothing's falling through the cracks. So
Yes, thank
thanks,
you
Charlotte.
very much, Megan.
I put this on here so to get the input to move further with the recruitment to backfill or to fill up the position. Is there any opposition to that?
Anyone address that?
So I think that in regards to number 5 and number 6, which is discussion and action regarding recruitment of the grants writer specialist positions, we're still in some discussion and discovery of what that looks like moving forward.
Okay.
So we can either call a special or discuss that further. I don't want to wait until April, but I know I had a conversation with Charlotte just now, and so there's some things that we need to discuss in regards to specifically for the BOCC Financial Support Specialist. What does that look like for Megan and Charlotte, as, helping train, and so I'd like to continue to have those discussions so that way we can give you clear direction at the
Okay.
next, at a special BOCC meeting.
Okay. Since we're
Or,
going on down
Sorry, not
to
BOCC.
number 6, I wanted to let you know we have received approximately 18 applications for the grant position. Looking over them, there may be 5 that might be qualified for it, but I wanted to give you an update on that and see if you want me to continue to push on that position or not.
I would like to see a copy of those grant
There were 2. Last I was
applications.
told we only had 4 or
4.
5 applicants.
Yeah.
I think Indeed finally picked it up, and I think that's where we got those extra ones that came in at the last minute. Some of them didn't supply the resumes as requested, but the 5 that did, you could kind of see where they could do the grant position. But I'd be glad to get that to you and let y'all look at them.
If you could send us all of them. In passing, I had visited with Joe, and he said there was also a possible application that had some financial background that maybe somebody that we could also talk about, the financial support specialist.
Yes, there were some in this grant recruitment that could probably step in and easily do the financial specialist position as well.
Well, if you could send those to us, let's look over
Yes.
them, and then we'll call a special meeting in order to discuss that further.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Carol.
Is that okay with you?
Sounds good.
Okay. Next is the discussion, possible action regarding our county free fare manual and financial procedures for the Oklahoma County Free Fare Association. And we have the president here from our county free fare board, and I believe what was attached is the free fare manual.
Yes, and it does have the forms in it. I talked to Miss Treat and I emailed, and she said it was the one that was online with the, dang it, just slipped my mind. The auditor had put together, and this current attachment does have forms in it. So that is put together now adequately, I believe, so that we can move forward with that manual.
So I just visited with Jeff, and so I think that there are some questions. I think I printed the most current one, and they were the same forms that were on there
Yes,
earlier. And so, these are different from what you currently use for your practices, if I understand correctly. And from our conversation that we just had, you wanted to maybe look at it line by line to make sure that it's outlined appropriately. And there were some areas that were striked in this document that I have question about in regards to the board of directors and their position. And so I have a couple more questions in regards to before we finalize and adopt the Free County Fair Manual, and would like to make sure that it's got the right forms attached to it. But I don't think that prevents us from proceeding forward in regards to looking at the estimate of needs that Aaron has so graciously helped us look over, and determining moving forward that what that looks like in regards to hiring or giving additional roles and responsibilities to someone that can work with the board to make sure that, this is a complete and final document, and that everyone feels good about it, and that we approve a stipend.
Like some of those warrants and stuff.
Mhm.
That whole box.
Right. Well, and I have concerns about what was stricken when it does refer to the board, and then there were a couple other sections that I was curious about that indicate how this is finally submitted to like the excise board. And so I just had a couple questions before we just move forward in regards to putting this before the BOCC to adopt. And I also think it will be really good for whoever works as an administrator or secretary with the board, in order to meet with them, to make sure that everyone's on the same page before it's formally adopted. Yes, please do. Oh, thanks. Thank you. So does that work for you, Karen?
Yes, it
Okay.
does.
Do you have any other thoughts or concerns, Mr. President?
Stand up and say your piece now, please.
I don't have anything to add to that. I think that we do need to sit down and go through it together, especially for those extra forms. They're kind of obsolete.
I wasn't just gonna rip them out. They come from the state.
Yes, the auditor put them in there, so
They put
I
them in
didn't
there.
know.
Yeah, and we can put an addendum in regards to our BOCC processes and procedures, and identify, maybe, what are some additional roles and responsibilities. And LaDonna was really great in order to provide a list of roles and responsibilities, and that would be helpful. And so I just want to make sure that is also in line with the board in regards to their expectations. but that would all fall, in the purview of whomever is going to be working closely with the board moving forward. And so those are my thoughts. Do you guys have anything else to
Open
add?
time to sit down and meet with us? Okay. You tell me when, where, okay. Can you set that up, right? She's the boss now, so.
Well, she hasn't been
She has-
specifically
Yeah,
designated.
But she's.
I'm just saying, she has not been designated by the
Yeah, but I have
BOCC.
somebody in the courthouse talking to me now.
Yeah.
That's a plus.
It is a plus. I'm glad you get that. And thank you, Aaron, for stepping in and assisting with the estimate of needs as well.
Well, in that light, we will have a process of what it looks like moving forward in regards to the selection of who will be working with you. And I know that we have in previous meetings talked about who all that would possibly include. And so I do appreciate, Aaron, all that you've done and stepping up and communicating, but I just want to make sure we're following best practices in regards to making that selection. We'll visit with you and work this out, and then make sure that those expectations are clear, and then determine moving forward if it's something that we just post for a real quick time being to make sure that we're following the right protocol, and or if there isn't any other interest, then we'll make those decisions. So I just want to make sure we come up with a plan and we know what those expectations are before we put it out there in regards to selecting the appropriate person for that.
That's all on that one, folks.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And thank you, Erin, for all your hard work. Okay, if there's not any other discussion there, but we'll set up a meeting. Number 8 is the discussion and possible action regarding reviewing the department, BOCC department. I sent an email just to clarify FY 25 and 26 estimate of needs. And so this is new for policy and governance. And so I think our vision of what this looks like is that if everyone has brought 4 copies, we'll receive them on the horseshoe and make sure Kathy switched, has a copy for her documents as well. And then if you could just tell us what changes have been made, what your additional needs are, so that way we can talk through that. And then there's a BET meeting that follows after this meeting, and then those will be discussed moving forward. Is that kind of what
Correct.
your vision looks like? Okay. So who volunteers first? Okay, since we, Stacy, do you have a meeting you need to get to? He's jumping up real quick. Okay, Mr. President, I asked him what he would like for me to call him before this meeting. Since we've already talked about your needs, let's go ahead and talk about your estimate of needs. Thank you. Yes.
Yes, sir.
And then I'll need a motion to receive the estimate of needs for the free county fair. And then if you'll tell us in regards to what changes have been made or what your additional needs are, specifically talking about what you've allocated for us to be able to provide for your secretary.
I need all kinds of needs. We're getting ready to get hit with an increase on the Jones facility on the next contract. Instead of going from 9,000, they're talking about 15 to 16,000 for rental. So I asked for a 10% increase of what we already have. And then, of course, wages for a secretary, which would be $750. But other than that, everything's pretty much cut and dried.
And it's $750 a month.
Yes, ma'am. Because I know if we go forward with this bylaws and stuff, then.
And then what I know from looking at your and discussing your budgets previously, just for clarification, so that everyone's aware, your salaries and wages, a lot of those go towards your judges.
Judges
yes.
And payouts.
Yes.
Mainly it's judges, payouts, and building rentals. That's what.
Yes. And equipment, because I saw there was equipment.
Yes, we
needs.
could use more equipment, but we're more worried about secretary and getting this stuff rolling because we need scales. We need a lot of stuff, but we have no place to put it. So
In regards to the secretary, just because I have a question, I probably should have asked another. How often will you need the secretary to join you for these fairs, and what is your thought in regards to the salary and commitment for the stipend for your secretary?
well, basically 2 months out of the year, it's be like full time. Then the rest of the 10 months, it's budgets or just an hour here or an hour there, or answering emails or.
And from what I understand, you have the equipment when we are discussing equipment in order to print your own checks. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. We
And
have
your
printers.
ballots and all that. So that's not anything that would be.
No, ma'am,
We
that
would
will
have
not
to
be put on
specify
her.
on a
That's
county expense.
the president and the treasurer that prints all those out.
Okay.
Unless she wants to do it, but no, I wouldn't put that on her.
Okay.
That's nightmare.
We did work with the clerk's office and came up with an easier solution to pay out the judges and the awards. So that's why we took that line item from salaries and wages and moved that amount of money down to professional services.
Okay, that's good.
So they get paid faster instead of, our salary is only paid once a month.
And I know another major issue that Aaron, that we've been working on is just making sure that we have our W-9s, 1099s for each of those that would be receiving a payout prior to
Yes, and
us paying them, because that was, in the middle of an audit, it was, stressful for the clerk's office.
Sure.
In order to make sure that we have everything that we need, and we need POs for those. And so I just want to make sure that moving forward, we have a plan for that.
Yeah, we talked about that, and we are going to just include that in every packet, so we have them available if we need, for which ones we do need, because there are several.
Okay.
Because a lot of these exhibits, especially when we get to the fall show or the baked goods and all that, a lot of them people get $1 to $10, and they won't never hit a 1099.
So your main increase is just the amount for the Jones
Yes,
facility.
Jones facility, and we're looking at Lincoln Center or something for the indoor exhibits, or we're going to have to go to State Fair Park and get in the middle of that fight shouldn't have insurance, but I don't know what they're going to charge for a fall show out there. So I'm at their mercy, everybody's mercy right now for rate increases and place to have it.
So Lisa, do you think we need to have, since this is something new we've done for each department, just approve a recommendation to move forward to the budget evaluation team, or do you think we can take all these as a whole? What kind of motion do you think we need? Do we need a documented record?
I think that whether if you're at scale there and do the recommendation on each one, you might make it all in one time.
Okay, so we'll need to make a motion and a second on each department to move forward with their request. Okay.
As we go along with the law.
Okay, just want to make sure we're following correct steps. I don't have any other questions. Do you have any questions?
Oh, good.
Okay. Do I have a recommendation for those increases from policy and governance to BET to discuss further?
Yeah, I'll move for approval, or recommendation rather, from policy and governance to move on to BET.
A motion?
I'll second.
Second? Oops, sorry, I just seconded. All in favor? Aye.
That's it.
Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr.
No
President.
more whiskey. I go home now.
Okay. Thank you for being here. Okay, Stacy is eager. Okay. And then this is our engineering estimate of needs. Is this also planning or is it all in the same? Separate?
Yeah, I think all these are on 8.
Hang on, I guess I'll need a motion to
Motion
accept.
to receive and go for it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, last year we'd asked for an increase in benefits because I had one employee that went to family on the health insurance. We did not get that increase, yet it was taken from us at the September supplement to cover benefits. So that left us $17,000 short in the FICA, and that's carried through all year. And really need to get it this time. None of you get what you got last year will have the same problem. And that, I don't know, it really throws the numbers off. So this worksheet, we can't get the worksheet to really work out with that negative thing in there. We'll keep trying, but does weird things with the numbers. And that's it. I mean, we're asking for the same salaries in M&O and capital as the previous year. It is easy. Just need the benefits to get corrected.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Stacy. Okay. Motion to approve recommendation for engineering and planning.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
All right.
It's a race. Rock, paper, scissors. Okay. Welcome.
Under general fund facilities has 3 budgets that we manage. Our facility management main account, main budget, the janitorial budget, and then we typically include a capital budget that's been reduced over the years due to the amount of capital construction taking place and being funded from other sources and other places.
Okay, so which one we're taking first?
That's okay. 2801. Turn your prayer book to 2801.
Oh, yeah. I have a motion to receive all 3 reports.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Ryan.
My motion.
Yeah, you can vote.
Okay.
However you want it.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Okay, which one are we starting with?
2801. This budget we submitted will remain flat at last year's appropriation to us in the amount of $2,122,558. The difference you see of 6360 over there, just for clarification, is a true up in benefits that was awarded at the beginning of the fiscal year retroactively.
Okay. The $6,359.76.
I think we can adequately support the projects going on and continue to do the same kinds of things that we're doing here throughout the next fiscal year with this sum of money.
Okay.
I hope.
Great. Okay, what's
The
your
next-
next one?
budget would be janitorial. We have 1 year left with our janitorial contractor, UBM, at a predetermined figure. This is budget 2850.
What was the contractor's name?
UBM.
UBM.
We have 1 year left. I think next year you can expect an increase in the pricing for sure. I have included in this budget where we buy our janitorial supplies a 10% increase in the janitorial supply category. Under the current conditions, I don't know if that's adequate or not, but we can make adjustments as we move forward into the next fiscal year. We generally have a pretty good idea of where we are, what we can expect on this front by about mid-year in the fiscal year. So January, we'll know more about where we are.
Yeah, I think that's a fair estimate.
Yeah. Thank you for your foresight.
Oh, sure, you're welcome. The other budget that we prepare is Capital Improvement 2010. This really serves as a reminder in some respects of the things that we need to prepare for and set money aside for. The total of this budget is $500,000. It is made up of carpet requests, capital carpet requests for the courthouse in the amount of $50,000. The annex, $50,000 for carpet repair, replacement, that kind of thing. Also, more importantly, the insurance deductible figure that our insurance carrier requires of us when we have a claim. 3 years ago, I believe it was increased from a $50,000 number to $100,000. It's budgeted here at the $100,000 figure, but very likely may increase due to, are you there?
I'm there.
Due to the insurance activity going across the country, right? We haven't heard from our insurance carrier what our costs are going to be, if the deductible will change. Karen works very hard. She's the one that is the liaison between the county and their insurance carrier. She works very hard trying to get the numbers early so we can prepare. We can only guess as to what we can expect. And after the fiscal year begins, that's when we begin to get real numbers in. So in many respects, you don't know where we are until after the fiscal year begins. So just as a holding place, this $100,000 based on last year's situation is prudent at this time, but you might expect changes moving forward. Also, there had been voted on a line item for the commissioner's unencumbered capital figure, a $300,000 figure that would allow the commissioners to move quickly in the event of an emergency. This sets aside $300,000 to utilize if we have an emergency where we need money right away. The total again on that budget's $500,000, and I'm sure that will change at some point, but I just don't know when.
What was the amount year over year, like from last year? The
Say again, I'm sorry?
Same amount year
But
over
yes,
year?
yes.
Okay, so no increase. It's
No
flat.
increases.
Okay.
Again, the only increase is the 10% figure in the janitorial supplies category.
Okay.
Everything else remains flat.
Good. I don't have any other questions. Super.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to recommend?
Motion to approve recommendation.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Who would like to go next? David. Thank you.
Good morning. I'd like to start off by thanking Chantel for her critical assistance.
Thank you, Chantel.
She's a lifesaver, no doubt. I've got these in numerical order for you with the exception of the general fund, which is on the bottom of that pile. The reason for that is the first four are very simplistic. And I'm beginning with one that says Local Emergency Planning Committee, or LEPC. Funds in this account are provided through occasional FEMA or Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality grants, although we have not seen any funds in a couple of years. There are no budgetary implications, no request, and no funding liability for Oklahoma County in that account.
Okay.
The second one is the Emergency Management Performance Grant, or it's labeled EMPG. That is a special revenue fund. It's an annual performance grant from FEMA that comes through the state of Oklahoma, and that's in the amount of $60,000 in 4 quarterly increments of $15,000. There's a great deal of requirements that are met to receive that grant, and the state has decided to do some significant changes this year, so we honestly don't know what that's going to look like in the future. But the local match that's required for that is provided through the Emergency Management General Fund budget. So there are no budgetary implications. There's no request or any funding liability for Oklahoma County with that cost center as well.
Oh, good.
The third one is what we call a combination account. That is, as the name implies, the combination of several different funding streams, none of which are continuing to provide income. There's a leftover fire management assistance grant component to that. I think there's $2.88. There is a pilot project fund from the 2007 ice storm disaster, and FEMA approved projects are in place for utilization of those funds. And the third component was the infamous Luther copper theft reimbursement. You may remember. If you don't, let me know and I'd be happy to explain that to you. That was quite an anomaly, but there are no funds coming in any longer for that either. And as with the previous two, there's no budgetary implications. There are no requests or other funding liability for Oklahoma County on this account also.
Okay.
The fourth is the Communication Infrastructure Fund. That is funds that are kept on hand to allow us to do maintenance, repairs, et cetera, to the Spencer Jones radio tower, which is a critical piece of infrastructure for Oklahoma County and for public safety. The income for that is from AT&T. Used to be T-Mobile and AT&T. T-Mobile has removed their equipment. They are no longer a tenant on that tower. It is just AT&T or New Singular Wireless. And income there for this coming year will be $22,278.90. And there are no budgetary implications, requests, or other funding liability for Oklahoma County on that account also.
Okay.
And then the favorite is the Emergency Management General Fund. Personnel cost, the numbers provided there are reflective of current salaries. There are no changes there. The travel and training, there's a slight increase due to increased personnel and increased technological aspects of the training that we're being involved in. And there's also continuing education and required training requirements that continue to expand. It's kind of a moving target, particularly in the specialized or technical arena. So there's a slight increase to the travel and training request. Maintenance and operations are pretty much flat. There's a couple of modifications there, low dollar items, reflecting the needs. We, in all honesty, we work very hard to fine tune the M&O. And over the years, if you looked at a history of our M&O, it's actually overall come down every year. But that's because of the fine tuning that we genuinely try to do to keep those reasonable. Capital outlay, there is one additional item there. You will see furniture request. That's for the new Emergency Operations Center out at Krause. Currently, the Emergency Management Office, aside from what's downtown here, at our offices out at the Regional Multi-Agency Coordination Center, the one that we lease space from the city of Oklahoma City. The furniture we're using out there, we have one desk and one condenser. That's it. The remainder of the furniture out there is owned by the city of Oklahoma City, and that's been in use for over 14 years on their dime, so that's been good. But as we move into the new Emergency Operations Center, we're obviously going to need to furnish that. Public safety equipment, below that, this is a continuation that we've done for multiple years. There are 2 cab and chassis units for fire rescue departments that we've been providing for a number of years to enhance fire rescue capabilities. And that's also because of the agreements we have in place where these departments provide fire rescue and EMS services in the unincorporated areas. This is kind of how we offset that and provide them with a little bit of equipment. And then the last item is, as we had last year, 2 additional outdoor warning devices or storm sirens, tornado sirens. And it's interesting to note that the tornadoes of November 3rd, just a few months ago, 2 of the devices that we had recently installed were in the direct path of that. Fortunately, received no damage, but they certainly did their job to warn the folks out in the unincorporated areas that otherwise that device at least would not have been there.
Very much.
And I would be happy to entertain any questions or further discussion if you have any.
So none of the new furniture that's needed, none of that's coming out of any ARPA funding.
That's correct. We actually have a little bit of ARPA funding, and I have been in touch with Danielle as recently as yesterday to verify whether those funds could be utilized. We have a few additional pieces to the Krause project that are going to be added, and we were hoping to have that cost estimate already, but they had told us because of the way they received the estimates from the potential contractors, they've got to break them down just to include our facility. So bottom line is I can't tell you exactly. We had that $428,000 that was surplus in the communications project that was graciously transferred over to the EOC project. Mm-hmm. And there is a possibility, we just don't know yet, that funding, depending on how much of that's taken up with the alternates that we've already got on the list, the remaining fund balance there may go towards that furniture. So I think your line of reasoning is, yes, we may be able to remove that request.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Burns.
You're welcome.
Hopefully we can get some of that covered by ARPA.
Okay. Motion to
Thank
approve
you.
recommendation.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you.
Anything else?
Appreciate all your
Nope.
hard work.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you much.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion is
Aye.
second. Okay. John?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
What I present today is a combination of merging the pharmacy staff and our budget together. So on the benefits and retirement side, flat budget, same everything. We do need 4 new computers because of Windows 10 upgrades, but I didn't address that in there. Maybe go through the BET and request as a one-time item. Our computers are very old, and I guess with software upgrades, they're not going to be able to work soon. So I'll pursue that separately through the BET as a one-time item. And then now the addition to this is the pharmacy staff. So basically that's a flat budget as well. We just include their salaries, their expenses, and back in the till for other things. Really the only increases on the pharmacy side, we increased postage. They budgeted 15,000. We jumped that up to 30,000. February was our first month really going live at the pharmacy and did over $100,000 worth of transactions. So hopefully that'll triple. You know, we want to get that to about $300,000 a month volume at least. Right now, first month, 100,000, so they're very busy.
Okay.
And the only other portion on their budget, but it's basically a flat budget the way I'm looking at it, is we pay software for the pharmacy services, and that software, same software that's been running since prior to 2003. So a lot of changes have come about, especially now that we're in the retail environment. Totally different set of circumstances when you run through stuff. And for insurance tracking, I included $8,500 to update their software, their pharmacy software, which is much needed. But that's really the only two changes: postage and that software upgrade, which is almost a mandate.